The man right there, he plays the Yorick. He plays primarily Yorick. He's known to play
what else?
Yorick. He is also known to play Scion. Both of those champions are now gone. He is known to play Renekton, unless it is the year 2025 of our Lord Faker, where he does not play Renekton. And we'll see what he does play. We know he will not play Jace, and so that's not going to be a consideration. The man's here for DRX. They may ban Vi. As closers, Yone will once again be taken away. The Vi is mandatory ban.
Will they ban Azari again from the red side this time?
That is a good question. Or will they ban the Gwen? I think I said Vi instead of by mistake when I was talking about Morgan, but the Gwen was what I was referring to. We'll see if they do ban that, because those are the big considerations. I think banning Ahri kind of makes sense, to be honest, because closer has been a menace. And Yehu's the one who's making the call, and I think he's going to ultimately, looks like there, frantically say, lock it in. As let's see if Morgan wants to play Gwen here. Remember, Jace is still up, and Rich, on the other hand, will play Jace into the Gwen and feel pretty comfortable about it. We're looking for a first pick Victor. All right. Little tier listy, but it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. You know, Rise banned, it's definitely up there in the mid-tier list at the moment, and
it puts Yehu in a kind of uncomfortable spot where, like, is he going to play Silas? You know, what's he going to pull out here in response? Known to play Hui, but I don't know if you really want to do that in this draft here. I need a lot more things to come true before that pick is going to get locked in. Rich accidentally locks Rek'Sai.
He accidentally locked Rek'Sai. That was pretty clear.
I don't think you get a redo on that one, Rich. I think we all saw it. I think we all saw it was your mistake.
Yeah, maybe if you acted a little bit cooler, we could have been like, oh, well, maybe it was something happened in the draft. I don't know.
Of course, it'll be reviewed fully, because despite Rich's reaction, he might have just been annoyed because there was a bug with the client. So I'm not making any sort of claims before we know all the facts, but based on Rich's reaction,
he looks happy that it was. Maybe they're gonna give him the redo. Rek'Sai in 2025.
Remember when Rek'Sai was super meta in, like, what, 2023 for a little bit? That was really fun.
Yeah.
So we'll give you guys the update.
I don't feel like it's
to be a redraft.
That bad. You know, it could have been worse.
It could have been KT Rolster locking in Zyra, which wasn't meta at the time, and then winning.
Yeah.
After missing every ult. That was weird.
Or you could have picked,
and then DRX beat them and then went to Worlds and won the whole thing.
Yeah. The butterfly effect.
I think you and I were casting that, actually.
I think so, yeah. I was definitely there.
I could tell you that everyone on DRX is laughing, but if they're not going to get a redo, they won't be. And Bro is not happy with the situation either way. But we will update you guys once we get full confirmation on what did, in fact, transpire here. Because as far as I'm aware, unless there's a bug with the client, if you lock in the wrong thing, you locked in the wrong thing. And it has happened before. See,
yes.
Said Zyra pick. We haven't had very many missed bans this year, if like any. I can't think of a single missed ban. That used to happen all the time.
I think we're playing Rek'Sai.
I think they're playing Rek'Sai.
Now where's it gonna go? The jungle, right?
It's not Peanut. It's not Cuz. It's Sponge.
Did you see Sponge's reaction too? He's like, "What the hell, man?"
Well, the funny thing is, yeah, that's the irony. Is
I don't want to play Rek'Sai.
The irony.
The Fury's up.
Yeah, the irony is like, it's someone else making a mistake, but now you have to play this champion. Imagine in solo queue, somebody like accidentally locked Teemo, and now you have to play Teemo top, where you're like, oh, I didn't want to play this. I didn't want to do this. So I haven't gotten any official confirmation, so let you guys know as soon as we know. But based on his reaction, I'm gonna take a leap of faith and say we're getting a Rek'Sai.
Yeah.
And this is gonna get really interesting because Rek'Sai was viable top back in that season.
Yeah.
I think it was 2023 summer where that was actually the case. As we'll find out right here.
All right, lock it in, Rich. It's not Rek'Sai. Okay, well, it's Trundle instead. and Jace.
Okay, well, he is going to be playing the Jace that I think we all were leaning towards was going to be likely here in this draft. And with the Trundle, it weakens the Ornn pick for Morgan if you wanted to go for that into this Victor scaling composition. So we'll see what ends up transpiring here as the Rumble, under the consideration, was banned in game 1. Just going to make it through. So a lot of scaling AP damage here. And Bull is going to get his Varus. They're going to prioritize it this time before the second phase where it was banned in game 1. And for Yehu, see what the counter pick is going to be, because if he has something special in mind, they don't have to necessarily lock it here, and they could just look for an 80 carry pick.
Yeah, in that case, maybe you see something like an MF or something that can deal with the Varus in the lane.
The Sylas I mentioned is going to be his go-to, though.
That is what Zeka played into Faker's Sylas, or Faker's Victor yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he generated massive leads, too. I mean, it was a monster performance out of Zeka. I don't know if we can necessarily expect the same out of Yehu, but I would love to see it, as this matchup can be quite tricky early. And Faker's, like, Flash was taken away by Zeka in the early levels. Some really nice trading, aggressive plays. See what happens in the second phase here now, because we have mid locked up, top locked up. 80 carry versus jungle here, so you can ban jungles as DRX, like the Nocturne, and as Bro, you're going to ban that safe Alistar, like everyone does on blue side in that first spot, but maybe we'll see an 80 carry ban in the final spot, like the MF you mentioned, or potentially even just a Rel ban, since Alistar's gone.
Andil loves Rel too. I think it's a good shout. You know, you could see the Rel picked first in that case. If it's not banned, because then you can just pick MF. It's not like they're going to play Varus MF bot lane.
No, not going to happen.
Not in this meta.
I think those are the big considerations, MF or the Rel. Senna, actually kind of solid ban, I think, given the Sylas that they have. I actually think that's a pretty good ban.
Yeah.
Don't talk about the hovers. That's what I was told in week 1 of LCK in 2021. And so we'll just wait and see what he does next. Because both the MF and the Rel are available, and it's looking like an Ezreal. This one has been, for me, one of the weirdest things that's happened this year is that people have just been, with the lack of lethality Varus we're seeing, you're a little bit happier to play this into Varus, but still feels like a tough one to play out. But people have been so ready to snap lock it every time into the Varus, so... Okay, Zed for Krako.
I mean, they needed 80 damage. He didn't want to play something kind of, you know, that gets countered by the Trundle, which is a lot of things.
That's honestly, I think, the main reason why he picks this, because the Trundle is just so obnoxious if you're playing, and like, if he tries to play Sejuani here, he's literally doing his team a disservice, you know?
Yeah. And
I don't think you wanted to play Lee Sin into this draft. I mean, there is some level of backline access you could try to get,
Paperman?
Paperman, I'm not into it. I think you need something with a little bit more damage.
He is made of paper.
But this means that in terms of engage here for Bro, you have Rel, which is decent, but otherwise, like, the gravity field and Varus ult or harpoons, like, there's not a lot of CC here. There's not a lot of ways to lock down this Ezreal. So LazyField has a ton of agency in this draft. Now, Zed may just be able to blow him up, but in pro play that usually doesn't happen. It's really hard to find an 80 carry alone, an 80 carry who's isolated, and so in terms of blowing that carry up, it's going to be a challenge. Trying to kill Sylas with Zed is pretty tough too, so Krako probably putting in the reps, and solo queue feels comfortable with this one, but I am not super sold on it. I think it's good into the Trundle, but otherwise the draft feels very risky.
Who drew it better? I feel like left was more realistic, but right was...
I thought left was like the meme where SpongeBob, it's like the weak SpongeBob versus like the ripped SpongeBob. But the one on the right was just normal SpongeBob. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe right slowly edges it out a little bit. Either way, guys, we got Trundle, we got Zed in this game number 2. Let's hop onto the rift right now.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right. Well, we're getting into this one.
So we didn't get the Rek'Sai, but we got Zed. So I kind of feel like we're doing okay. weirdly enough, we live in a world where Zed is more meta than Rek'Sai. Significantly more meta. Rek'Sai hasn't played the whole season. Was picked once, but didn't see play.
Yeah. Again, I don't think Rek'Sai would have been so bad.
미니언들이
I think Zed is. I don't know.
I kind of
it got some buffs.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Rek'Sai, if they picked a different AD carry, kind of sick with their comp, to be honest. Like the Sylas, you know, they gank the Rumble. You know, I mean, honestly, even with Ezreal, it's okay. But in LCK, it's not on the tier list. Okay, it's not.
It doesn't exist.
Everyone thought Fearless was going to fix the LCK, and we'd see picks like Zed. Oh, wait, we're seeing Zed. Let's, you know.
Yeah. And Trundle, you know.
Trundle is meta now, Valdez.
Yeah, but he wasn't the first time he was picked. So teams are like, huh, what are we going to do in this situation? There's not a lot of meta picks available because of Fearless. I guess we have to try Trundle.
Comet Varus, by the way. Now, Bull, we've talked about this a lot, mostly on the Challengers broadcast when we used to do those officially and then co-stream, but known for on-hit Varus, even when we didn't like that he was playing on-hit Varus. But now he's playing Lethality in a game where, considering the lack of really strong frontline here, I'm kind of okay with it, especially when you consider you have a lot of other burst damage with the Zed, and you also have a closer for a little bit more consistent finisher. And it also works really well with Equalizer. You hit that Lethality poke, and then Morgan just drops an R button, and either somebody dies or they're out of the fight, either way. And it's also great for lane into the Ezreal. As we mentioned before, Ezreal getting a little bit more popular into the Varus because Lethal Temple was on the rise, so you're not taking Comet. Does have Comet now. Struggling to get the last hits, though. Aftershock.
So Bull missed the first one. That was okay, but then Palu tried to help, but yeah, Aftershock got the kill on the minions. So he just missed 2 melee minions casually under the turret. Kind of unfortunate. We do have a pretty early back here from Lazyfield.
Yeah.
Just early tier pickup from the Ezreal.
Wants to get that as soon as possible, but maintain the Doran's Blade, so no tier starts. Tier start's not really viable on Pro, especially in this matchup. They're not going to be doing that. He gets the tier as soon as he can. It'll help him out a lot later on. He's not going to get punished for this back. Does not seem. We do see, you know, here in this top lane, Rich is controlling it early, which usually is the case with the Jace into Rumble. And a fast back here as well for Kroko, who has a 2 longsword advantage, but he's still playing against a Trundle.
Yeah, about that. We have some trading in mid as well. Saw Yehu go in. Sponge eating a ton of shuriken damage, and he's sticking around. He is going to smite it down, but the red buff is ticking on the Sponge. Follow-up with the flash, and it's so easy! Sponge should have seen that coming.
Hold on.
Okay, they're going to just kill him then. Yeah, Yehu able to get over. Closer not.
That was really quite close, though, to be honest. Like, if Yehu just dies there, then it's 2 kills for the Zed, but this feels like an intentional choice, right? Where he goes over for the fast back, gets 2 longswords, and he's like, I think I can duel him if he doesn't back here. Because otherwise, into the Trundle, you're probably not going to win that fight in any world, right? But you can see here, Sponge really struggling, does commit to the smite, so at least gets the scuttle, but so much damage here on the initial combo. Kroko just waits it out here, waits for his cooldowns. And Sponge is just like, well, tried to pillar, I get the smite, and I need to be bailed out by my Sylas. Kroko flashes here to secure the kill, and also uses his shadow critically. And so Yehu knows he doesn't have flash, and knows he can just go in here for the stun.
Closer was there first.
Yeah,
and he went back to the wave because I think they didn't know Rich was coming.
Yeah, I think Closer just didn't, yeah, like you said, think that the Jace was going to show up there. But also, like, you might as well go over and look for the fight. Might even be able to force even a flash out of somebody. Either way, cool idea, cool start for Kroko. The ending, not as great. It's kind of been the bro motto, the bro memento today.
Yeah, the Brado.
The Brado.
The CSing under turret is an issue. He is falling behind pretty significantly early on here.
This Ezreal matchup doesn't feel great.
Yeah, they're getting bullied. See that one little Krug jump over the wall to the left? He had dreams, and then unfortunately he got pulled back in by the aggro.
Yeah.
But he was going places for a little bit.
Sometimes Krugs need to get out of their boundaries.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people could learn things from that mini Krug.
Think outside the box.
Yeah.
Or jump outside of it.
Exactly.
Especially when you're feeling a little bit, you know, constrained in your life.
He saw a Zed and he was like, wow, that's rare. Maybe it's my chance to do something. No.
You're just a mini Krug. Get back to the camp. Like, let's be real. Bull having to cleanse here. And Ondil is Leona. Leona definitely getting a lot of value. Very good with the Ezreal. And every time Palu tries to do anything, it's like, well, I just neutralize you.
In this matchup, too, like if Ezekiel hits everything and Leona's constantly trading aftershocks and looking for those aggressive plays, like, you can win, especially when you have the wave pushing through. Bull is trying to manage CS as well. Paulo does have this control ward here, but unfortunately Krako is very far away. I don't think this is going to be possible to contest. They can stop Yehu from getting over, but what does that really mean?
I mean, it looks like he wants to get in, but the pillar should zone him away. They want to try to turn onto Yehu, who's just going to go back in. He has Magnet Storm, and now Paulo in a lot of trouble. And he's oh, the stun! The stun, it saved him!
That is pretty significant. If he ends up going down there, I might be starting to draft the obituary here for this early game for Bro, but does end up living. Good stun there, just barely will save his life. But man, contesting that I think was optimistic. Good pillar from Sponge to make sure there's no 50-50 opportunity. They both were flashless, of course. But the woes continue here as Rich has a massive lead. LazyFeel, significant lead generated here in this bottom lane. How many of these do we hit? One? Oh, just the one. I don't think he could have gotten both in that scenario.
Yeah.
But still, every -1 counts.
Morgan is trying to bait something here. Equalizer coming down. No flash for Rich, who is just going to get Zedded here in just a little bit. Burnt down by Morgan, and Krako didn't even have to ult. Yeah, that mobility of the Zed just coming back to bite Rich there.
Yeah, really hurting him quite substantially. As unfortunately, there's not much outplay you can do there as Rich without flash. And even though Zed doesn't have CC to gank, when you're that far up in the lane, he does a lot of damage. And that will put you in the death chamber of CC, where you can't move or act. It's actually the best form of CC. You can pull it off. Like you said, didn't have to ult. And so now, potentially could have looked for a contest here on these grubs, but not enough control over the river. And now a closer.
I'm trying to get on a closer, but Paulo is here. Stolen Chaos Storm doesn't do all too much. Just zones them away.
We've talked about how Trundle loves to do grubs, but I don't think that was really the reason why he was able to get all three. He's just there first, and there wasn't enough control over the river. Unfortunately, Paulo was coming up from the bottom side, and they just were not able to even show up. So DRX will get the last two there, 2-1. And it's a relatively even game. That Dragon is going to feel really nice. Now with Mountain and Chemtech as our first two Elemental Drakes, could get really interesting here, what we do end up seeing. Infernal Soul would feel amazing for both compositions, same as Hextech Soul. So if DRX are able to get this next Dragon, feeling really good about the advantage they picked up early on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, we had a couple of Hextechs yesterday, so maybe we can continue with the luck. And we'll see about that. Not too much happening at this moment, so I got a little update from G-Sun about the rule book.
Yes.
That was updated on March 28th. As might have to hold that thought as Morgan's going in here, but he's getting baited actually as the Trundle is here. Flash available for Morgan, but he just elects to die instead. So Rich, nice job baiting him out there. Good timing from Sponge to be up in the top side.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. So tell me about the rulebook.
Yeah, so if the player notifies the ref immediately that they basically chose the wrong thing for any reason at all, you can get a redo. You just get a penalty.
What is the penalty?
The penalty, I think it's just like the basic LCK penalty, where if you get like too many, you get like a warning, and then
so it's a warning.
You're gonna eventually like lose.
Yeah, penalties stack up into losing bans and stuff like that. Okay.
Losing bans, losing points, yeah. So basically, it was obvious he didn't want to play Rek'Sai, so as long as he immediately puts his hand up, he's like, I didn't mean to pick that.
To be honest,
it's fine.
As somebody
you get a redo.
Grew up in the old Kespa era of you type GG wrong, it's a penalty. Like, I think it's a pretty progressive rule change. Like, I actually
so true.
Like my instant reaction from living through the Brood War and StarCraft 2 era of those times that you and I also lived through.
Yeah.
where players like Innovation would be given a warning and or would lose literally a point in the standings for typing GG in Korean instead of in English.
Yep.
I'm pretty happy to see like we're moving towards. He obviously didn't want to play Rek'Sai. He's not griefing the system.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I like that. Paulo does not have ult.
Yeah, he's gonna get ulted himself, actually. Kroko goes in and does a little bit of damage to Sponge. Now we got chains flying in from off screen, but they're not gonna really do anything. Lazyfield does have to flash. Oh, very close to taking him down, actually. But still, Lazyfield gets away.
Wait, Bull? Okay, they see him. Like, if Lazyfield just backed there after seeing the Varus on the ward and died, I would have been
they wanted
very
to get
upset.
Bull if Bull like moved into the river.
Yeah, because Ando also has flash, so he could have like flash stunned him.
Bull has cleanse and like, oh, that could have been real bad.
Yeah,
I'm kind of glad nothing happened.
Yeah, no, I see this. Like, they thought about it for a second, and then they made the right choice, so that's good. Ooh, it's all coming up DRX in this one, though. It really, really is. Unfortunately, Paulo is the only real form of engage we've talked about, and he didn't have ult, so he was the one who was engaged upon, and he did not make it. Sad to report. He did not survive.
Yeah. Pretty unfortunate for him. The Grubs. I don't even remember the Grubs being taken.
No, I do, because Bro got the first one, and then Toronto got the last two, remember? And there was no contest.
Yeah, that's just the state of the Grubs nowadays. It's like they went down for some, yeah. Anyway, we're looking for this dragon. We can't take Drake. And Sponge is getting to work on this, but that ult's not going to do all too much, kind of interrupted by the pillar. And now the TP coming in, DRX are just abandoning ship. So they say, we didn't even need this one. Zehu's going in. Gotta be careful, just an aggressive trade. He's not overcommitting. But yeah, they already have one Drake, so they say it's fine. We'll get your TP and we'll get Rich some money.
Infernal Soul as well.
You called it.
So denying a really impactful dragon. Ooh,
That happened.
Oh, it's Pan over here.
Kroko? Okay, he's just going to ult on in. And maybe a turn here on the Sponge, but he's quite tanky here on the Trundle with that Subjugate. And yeah, he's just unkillable at this point in the game. Even the Equalizer comes down, and it's not quite enough. Finally, Bull is able to get some damage in. Lazyfield coming on over as well. Ondel is dead. They're going to leave him with the fishes. And Yehu is playing Silas.
Outplay there with the dash. You call it a miss, you can call it a dodge. I call this one a dodge.
It was.
And I mean, I feel like forcing that kind of brawl right there, given your engage is limited, into this Trundle is just not the right call. Especially like, Closer, you are a Victor with one, I think he had one stack of Rod of Ages. So he just doesn't really hurt people. As you can see, he's trying to hurt people, and they will not be hurt. The Equalizer from Morgan is a lot more relevant. But yeah, this is just not the kind of fight you want to be taken here at this point in time. Unfortunately, that dodge there from Yehu means Bull does not secure that exit kill. Ends up being a trade, relatively even trade, but I am concerned about what it means that Bro thought that that was the fight to take.
Yeah, especially because it feels like Rich is getting a lot of alone time up on the top side of the map.
Exactly.
He got a second plate. And so he's ahead about, you know, a kill, a first blood, 400 gold. And he has 2 kills already. Also, Yehu going for the Rod of Ages. And he is going to be quite fed in this game. 2-0 and 2.
Yeah. One stack behind Closer, but that often ends up being a boon, depending on the timing of when you end up getting that level up. I'm worried about Rich being big in this game, because he got that extra amount of side laning done there, and with lack of engage, like, how do you catch the Jace Ezreal in this game? They're going to be set at angles where both of them can poke consistently.
Yeah.
He's not going to be poking right now, he's going to melee for him.
Yeah, Andel's going to Hex Flash this wall, and Morgan is going to flash away, but I don't know. Do they have the damage to take down the Rumble? They do, barely, but Andel is going to go down. TP does come in, so it's still a win for DRX, but a little bit scary there.
Yeah, also the Leona getting the kill versus the Rumble getting the kills. Pretty big trade off, as Yehu's going to get some alone time with this turret. Nothing more should transpire there on the top side, but I think that play, the idea of it was fine, but they were a little bit slow on it, and as a result, it ends up being Morgan getting a kill and Andil getting a kill. Rich will get some shared gold, of course, out of it. And Bro, after that trade up, are going to go ahead and take this Rift Herald. It's going to be a Herald for a turret. That's feats of strength, though, to DRX, as they were able to get the turret first.
Yeah. It feels like little trades everywhere, either cross-map or otherwise, but DRX is barely getting the edge every time.
Yeah.
They're little. They're very small ones, but we had like a, what was it, like 200 gold lead, 300 gold lead. Now it's above 1,000. And, I mean, you're getting the money on the Sylas in the bot lane, so that's good. Nice trade up after Leona got the kill in the last trade.
And I'm watching an Ezreal make a Varus, Lethality Varus Ghostblade in the mid lane, and that's not a good sign either.
Yeah.
As LazyField found a nice angle there. And, you know, it wasn't kill pressure necessarily, but he's pushed the Varus out of the lane, going to crash this wave in. They just have constant control. I think I was leading into, before we had that gank and that fight on the top side, it's just the carries here for DRX. You know, 2 of them are just impossible to get to, it feels like. And if the Rel has to go all the way deep to look for that engage, they just collapse on her and kill her. And this has already happened, right? Paulo was caught once before he had his ultimate, but I think for Bro, you really just need to scale. Like, you really need to avoid any more disaster. If you get even one more Drake here without losing a fight, you know, that's like, okay, best case scenario. All right, we're getting stronger with this Victor. You have to play through the Victor, the Rumble, and the Varus, and you're going to have to be winning poke wars on objectives. The problem is they have one more poke champion than you. And they also have engage, and they can also brawl. So this feels like the draft issues here for Bro are going to get worse and worse if they lose really just one more team fight. I just don't know if they can recover from that.
Doesn't feel good that one of the main poke champions for Bro is Bull, who he's behind on CS, but he's not comfortable in the lane, and he got the 1 kill, but that's the only reason why he's on parity right now. So definitely will have some poke wars in this game, but who's going to have the better poke? And team fighting, as you were talking about. We do have this Rift Herald dropped here in mid. I feel like this might be able to get this mid turret. Not on the crash, but just a little bit more.
Yeah, with this next wave, they should be able to get it. Rich is looking for a flank. He's going to miss that shock blast. That should just be the turret here, and they don't have to hard force. This is a big win for Bro. You can now kind of try to force their way into this choke point and get that control. Yehu could look to TP in, and I think this is a really important dragon fight for DRX. If they give this over to Bro, it gives them so much critical time and damage and scaling to this Victor composition, as it looks like they're just going to trade turret for Bro. Like, Bro? They are going to get the dragon, right?
Eventually.
Like, now Rich could maybe steal this. Like, okay, he won't, but that was a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's like they're scrambling to try to get back on the map, but because of that, they just do it slower. Yeah, so they get the dragon. They buy themselves some extra time. Any Infernal Drake is going to feel good. As, meanwhile, just backing in a bush, almost getting caught. A little collapse here on a Krako, who doesn't have his cooldowns just yet, but he will get them back fast enough to get to safety.
Yeah, this is a big win for Bro. Buys them a ton of time, gives them that extra damage for this Victor, but at the same time, it's not. I feel like I'm not super happy with how it happened, you know? Like, they had so much control, and they gave up a turret. They did it super slow. Now Rich has an insane amount of power here in this bottom lane with Sponge. You know, a lot of time was wasted for Krako. They're actually just going to get this in there. I think this is a great choice. At least get the Equalizer. So much damage done, and I think they still get it, man. Equalizer be damned.
They killed it so quickly. What is Stegon doing? He's fidgeting with his shoe.
He's not even wearing Bro colors. He thinks it's Orange Day. He's wearing the
Those look like DRX colors, actually.
Yeah. Is he knitting? He's knitting a shoe.
He's saying 2-0 or something.
No,
we have an engage here.
Okay, hold on. We'll talk about it later. Is Sponge?
I think he's okay. He just subjugated the Rel, rather. So, yeah.
You know, the old BRION blade was orange jersey, I think, right? And like a reddish logo.
Yeah, they have like orange in their colors.
Yeah. Like the original BRION logo, I think, was like reddish orange.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's like their off color. It's like their second jersey.
I can't really explain the knitting of the shoe, but
we still don't know what he's doing there. And why his shoe is DRX colored.
I guess Bro are on the blue side, and the shoe is a little blue, so...
So that's why Bro lost game 1.
Yeah.
They weren't on the blue side.
Well, that whole turret went down in the bottom lane with the pressure that we talked about that was unlocked after kind of delayed Drake take, Kroko getting delayed, then trying to go clear his top side of the jungle, and then they just group and kill a turret, just like that. So DRX still pushing a 2,000 gold lead now.
Yeah, who's like soft freezing this wave? And that's going to get the cleanse out. Good job by Bull in that trade.
That's the kind of stuff you want to be seeing in this mid lane that we haven't seen too much of just yet in this matchup. Get the cannon, nice. Yeah.
Closer is very far ahead with his stack of the Rod of Ages.
Yehu is Silas, so I'm not sure if he cares. Like, the rest of the team is coming down, and Bro are very aware of this, so they wanted to get something done themselves, but they're not even going to get half this turret. Yehu's, just like you said, holding this wave here and just casually sucking up minions. And 2-item spike for Jace hit. 2 items for the Ezreal, not quite there yet, but should be pretty soon. And with Sponge in the area here, Yehu can kind of just do whatever he wants. Otacon's on the bottom side of the map, so controlling that side lane, controlling mid prio, very important. This Bull is really pushing up because he's got Palu nearby.
He's in the Bull spot.
He's grabbing the Bull by the horns.
He's
by the
bulldozing the wave.
There you go.
Right now.
Sponge
Nice.
is coming over. Kroko, I don't know.
We don't know what Croco's doing.
He doesn't have Shadow anymore, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But like, the more time that Bro kind of spend here and lose control over this bottom side of the map, the better it is for DRX for this next Dragon fight and where Otacon is. Like, that's actually significant. Like, that little stall out there, DRX are just like, well, I mean, it's an Otacon angle, by the way. And Rich does not have teleport, but he can just kind of cruise over because they know everyone's just backing there. They know Kroko's not here. He is going to catch the mid wave instead, though.
Bro?
And like he's like, I guess they're not coming. Rich is like, well, I'm not going either. And that's like, it's just like one little jungle interaction like that when you have Otacon on the side of the map where you have that side lane pressure is like, if you lose control for just a moment, boom, Otacon, by the way. So not feeling great, and that's still where they are trying to now group up here to punish Yehu.
Well, that was unfortunate. Sponge is, he's going to subjugate, and he gets a shield. Maybe he lives. No. Bull 1 ability. Oh, Palu just pops like a balloon as in goes Kroko on a lazy field. Not a lot of peel for him. He doesn't have flash. No arcane shift. And that's what that Zed is there for. Andal just on the run. Looks like Rich also going to go down in mid as now we got a Zed ult coming in from Yehu as he's going to get a kill. Hops back, but not a lot of ways to get out of here. Waiting for his cooldowns. Does get over, immediately stunned, and yeah, just immediately dies.
That's
Bro
massive.
is going to get that shutdown. What is this angle?
Orange Degon. He's loving it. And I mean, I was looking at the whole situation right before that being like, man, full momentum against them. But when you watch this angle here, like, Bro don't have great engage. But when they have just one engage tool, this is a glass cannon composition that does insane damage. Even the Trundle alone here in this situation can't actually win the fight. Then they go back in. Sure, you get the kill on the Rel, but now you've engaged for Bro because you've walked too far forward, and Morgan has a massive equalizer here. And then the end of this fight, the fact that Yehu actually gets stunned and no one has to flash to follow is huge. Really cool play here to take Kroko out of the fight with his own Zed ultimate, but he ends up dying for it. And Bro end up really evening this game back up as this is a really critical moment. And then Morgan able to get the harpoon over the wall to take him down. 4 kills for this Rumble that's super fed. Has the shred as well as, and even got an arm guard. So he was behind a lot of this game, still technically behind in gold, but very relevant now.
10 gold behind.
And Bro got this a second Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of all of this. I mean, they do shore up a lot of the gold, but it was kind of close anyway. But now they get even closer, and they get the Drakes. Now they're on Infernal Soul Points. They get a bunch of shutdowns, a bunch of gold exactly where they want it. Into the Varus, into the Rumble. And Kroko did a ton of damage in that fight. Didn't pick up any kills, I don't think. Maybe he got 1.
He might have, no, he did. I don't think he did, actually.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate. I feel like his Zed is quite good, but his KDA doesn't make it look that way.
Okay, this is not great for Morgan.
Yeah. But he's just going to flash. The pillar, definitely one of those abilities, much like the Anivia wall, where it's like, if you get hit by that and you're in the wrong spot, you're flashing. Otherwise...
and if you don't have flash, you're dying.
Yeah.
So clean play there from Sponge. Yes, Yehu has been stunned a few times, but won't be stunned this time. And suddenly we're in this game state where even though Bull missed a lot of abilities and wasn't having the greatest performance in the mid matchup there into Lazy Field where, you know, we got out of lane and he was just farming, the farming matchup, so to speak. He has 3 kills now. He is big, and you know, this comp does a lot of damage. And if Palu's in the right place, like, they will kill anyone.
They're very deep, engaging onto a Leona. Can they kill Andal on time is really the question. TP does come in for Morgan, but now we're going to have Bull go down immediately as Bro are in an awkward spot. The Equalizer's okay. And I feel like DRX could have pushed the envelope a little bit more there, but the Equalizer does push them away. Closer getting quite low. Here comes Sponge up the river, blocking the plants. But now the re-engage coming in here.
Yeah, TP coming in as well. Bro.
Yeah, Bro needs to get out now.
I think it might be too late, Valdez. They do not have a turret here.
DRX also playing this very carefully. The engage comes in on a Lazy Field. It will be a ton of damage with the Zed on top of it, as now that's a nice trade. And now Yehu going 1v1 versus Morgan. Tries to re-engage, but misses. He's burning down. It's a kill for Bro, actually. As Sponge still chasing Closer. Finally gets the kill, but he will be traded out as Bro win the fight.
That's Rise Group, baby! Bro, out-mechanicking DRX in this moment. It feels like, really, that's the difference maker is Yehu barely survives there, the 1v1 into Morgan. It all starts off with, like I said, there's so much damage you can even kill a Leona, but it does take some time, and then the teleport does come through here from Rich. So now Bro are in this awkward spot where they index so heavily into this, and then they have to make every decision perfectly here. Like you said, there was a moment just there where I feel like DRX could have indexed more in, then the Equalizer hits, and now you have to make the tough call. Like, do you chase here? Do you try to lock down Bro? Yehu says 100% we do. He teleports over here, but Sponge is so low. And look at Morgan as well in this fight, just winning against Yehu, who wants to rejoin the fight as he sees the engage happening topside. Yehu's indecision here really hurts him. He doesn't die, but he's not able to save the fight. Also misses those chains there as Kroko and crew win the top side. And Closer here will ultimately be taken out, but not without a price. Big stuns coming through in the fight, the extended fight from the victor. Closer doing a ton of damage, looking for his death cap third, quietly becoming extremely relevant in this game. When you add up all the extra percentages of APs and get the adaptive force from the Mountain Drakes, if he gets Soul, has that, the big death cap, like, he's gonna have so much AP.
Yeah. And Bro are in position to take down this Infernal Soul if DRX don't have something to say about it. They've cleaned out all the vision. Sponge is trying to push forward here with the team, with Ondo, but TP's already coming in. And now they're trying to go in onto Sponge, who does have his flash, but not going to use it. Just a bit of damage. Edge of Night gone from Bull. Lazyfield's got to be very selective about how he goes in.
Sponge also already putting that filth on the ground a bit early in this one. And, like, Closer has mid-prio here. Yehu is on a flank, technically. Let's see what if he steals the Rel ultimate and looks for a Rel engage, this could actually be huge. Like, that's the angle he's looking for, but Closer is very aware of this. He's looking for him. He's like, I'm not going to allow that.
Yeah. They don't have vision to get into that backline either, so he's going to be flying blind. He's fine where he is, but I don't know about running all the way in here. He doesn't have his flash. Can be difficult. Timing will be crucial. Blue buff picked up for Bro.
This is looking really rough here for DRX if they can't find that Silas flank. He's still flanking. Edge of Night gone.
And he's spotted immediately on the flank. Ondel now going to be targeted here on his flank as they try to go in on a Morgan, but Ondel's getting so low. Flash on into Rich, who will be taken out by Kroko, who does take a lot of damage, though. Palu is going to go down. Lazyfield and Yehu are totally fine. Flash on in from Lazyfield. Going to miss that Q, though. It doesn't matter. He's able to hop on in, and our resident Bro is not very happy with this scenario. This would have been the moment for Bro to close it out.
Yeah, it was a really awkward angle for dealing with the Silas flank, and Palu moved away, so he couldn't actually quite get the Rel Magnet Storm engage, like the hijack engage he was looking for, but he ended up getting the Equalizer as everyone else was engaging onto a Leona. Okay, he's fine.
I don't know. Okay, well,
And that was the moment where Bro, like, they could have gotten the Infernal Soul, so much more damage. And I mentioned the AP, the AD, they're already going to get for the individual Infernal Dragons, but as soon as they go on to the Leona here, Yehu makes the choice to go for the Equalizer, which really does both a ton of damage and also zones Bro. Like, look at where Bull is in this fight. He's not hitting anyone relevant. It's just a really great play from Yehu. And, like, the flank there, the wraparound with the Leona there from Andil is just, it's chef's kiss because it puts them in this checkmate situation where oftentimes when there's a flanker, you just go, okay, engage the flanker, and now it's a 5v4, but that's a Leona, you know? And it takes so much time to kill her that it gives Yehu the agency there, and then unfortunately Sponge gets on top of Bull, and he just can't play the game.
It was really cool to see Andil taxi in and then flash Q Closer, because Closer is really dangerous, as you mentioned before, he just hit his death cap. And Andil made sure that he wasn't a part of that fight, as now Andil taking a bunch of damage, but now they're kind of stuck between the pillar and the wall. Andil is going to go down, though. The counter engage comes in. The Equalizer doesn't do all too much. LazyFeel is able to zone everybody away by himself. DRX, they trade supports, but it definitely feels like they're in control of this one as Lazy takes down the turret.
Game is not over, but it's one clean Baron away from being over, as this is not going to feel great.
Ooh.
For Rich, because he didn't stop him. All right, so yeah, that would have been a significant backstop, and they could have even looked to try to catch him and then go for a Baron play, but does not eventuate that same way. As like Andil constantly the target in these skirmishes, and as we've learned many times, as Lahen's taught us, like sometimes this backfires. This time the Equalizer coming in here for Morgan, trying to save the play, but this ends up being a trade of supports. But with the amount of control that DRX have, like, it's always a trade up for them when you trade supports like that. Because like, okay, well now what are you gonna do with no jungler with no CC on your jungler? You know, with no real engage tools. We have a Sylas, we have a Trundle. You know, we can warp the battlefield to our liking, and you can't. And the Sylas like can be engaged on its own, but can also steal all of those ultimates that are important there on the side of Bro to turn it into an even better skirmish. This is going to be a battle for Prio for a moment here, as two big prizes, Bro's Soul and also the Baron, are what these teams are going to be looking for. Control Ward in the Baron pit right now for DRX gives them a little bit more flexibility. And as you can see, Bro don't really have deep vision anywhere. They have vision to the left of the Dragon pit. They're going to try to come over here and try to clear up vision themselves on the Baron. It's a Prio fight. That's where we're at here in this game, because these next objectives will decide the game. I mean, DRX have all the momentum right now. Full control over this map. They're not going to let this vision go without a fight.
Yeah, just hold the top river vision. They don't have a crazy amount of Baron damage. It's okay. It's decent, but you know, it's not going to be like bursting it down with a 4-item Kai'Sa or anything like that with Azir in the mid lane. So it doesn't feel like DRX can just rush it down, especially with the game as close as it is. But in terms of control, it's still all DRX. I say that as Rich is hiding on Bush, and he is going to go in on a Croco, but Morgan is down in the bottom lane. As you see a lot of pings there onto him, but they spot Croc on the bottom side, and they immediately start up the Baron.
Yeah,
Rich is spotted.
Rich is just like, I'm chilling. You can't stop me from TPing. Bull can, but I mean, he could just come over here and buy time, stall them out,
Yeah, he has
and
flash.
the Baron's just gone.
Yeah, they didn't have the best Baron team in the game, but they had a good enough one, and they're able to burst it down. TP's gone. Bro, you already lost the Baron.
I think that in a lot of ways, and this is going to sound weird, and it's not a slight on Croco, but I think this game is one of those games that showcases, even with a Zed that has 3 items, he's just not that pro-viable, in my opinion. Like, remember Canyon played Zed and he won, but we were like, I'm not sure about this pick. Yeah. We've seen it played by players like Pabu in the past, back in MSI, but it's just not been a pick that has really stood out in Pro because you just don't have CC, you have a lot of burst damage, but the lack of utility, like Sponge, he's down 300 gold, you know, he's not doing a ton of damage, he won't have the damage numbers that Croco has at the end of the game, but he's just got so much utility, like his ultimate's so high value, his pillar is so much zoning, and Croco has spent a lot of this game like shadow jumping away from DRX and losing tempo, then losing an objective. And like
he's really just like, he trades his life with the AD carry, and it's usually from behind. It doesn't feel like it's enough.
It just doesn't feel relevant to me. I mean, you and I have had this conversation so many times about, like, if it doesn't have CC, you can't play it in the mid lane. It has to be something that has some form of CC, otherwise the utility just isn't there. And, I mean, look at him go. He's just going to push Bull away, and
CC
that's
is
a turret.
king. CC is king, for sure.
I just think that's always kind of been the way of modern League of Legends. And there are some champions that can get away with it, like Akali, which is the pick that you and I talked about most back then, where I was like, I just don't know if Akali's viable. And it for the most part, is just a niche pick now that, like, Zeka plays occasionally.
And my boy Daystar.
Daystar.
Don't forget.
Daystar was Palm yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
Rats on picking him up early.
I don't know how he managed that, but he did. Thanks to all my voters out there, especially VN Cast.
Might have just been a bit of Valdez vote brigading. Not sure. Krako, he doesn't have CC.
Yeah, he doesn't have his ability to jump to anyone either. He's going to hop back finally, but taking a lot of damage. Now LazyField taking the 1v1. Bull flashing over, and LazyField flashes into closer and just dies. That didn't have to happen.
It didn't have to happen, and you could tell he was a little bit flustered there. But you know what? The end result...
That's Rice Group, baby.
Yeah, sure, that's Rice Group, baby. The end result doesn't matter that much, as Krako's got his Axiom arc now, so... You know, at least he can try to trade with the AD carry more often, or at least ult more often in general with that one. As, yeah, this fight is just over the red buff here. And for the side of DRX, they just want to take that away because it's a huge amount of utility you can use defensively if you can get that global red. The Leona engage here isn't the best. And then LazyField, that was not the flash angle we were expecting. I thought maybe he'd go up.
Yeah.
And Q back towards Bull.
Let's see what Bull has to say about this. Nothing at all.
Well, I think he's pretty frustrated with the overall game state, because like I said, this doesn't really change that much. Buys him some extra space. This Dragon fight synced up with the Baron. It was likely going to be the deciding fight here in this game.
It's in 3 minutes. We're already setting up vision. Bro's like, no, this is our part of the map. You can take the top side.
Well, for DRX, they've actually gotten to the point now with the repeated stacking Drakes themselves to where this is also Soul for them. So trading Baron for Soul, if that was what DRX decided to go for, I feel like would be a bit of a double whammy choice. Like, where now they have the Soul to defend your Baron a little bit better, and the Soul is permanent. So DRX have a lot of vision there on the top side of the map. Bro had a lot of early vision over the Dragon, but it's now mostly cleared up. And like you said, I mean, it's important to have the vision, but not necessarily going to be lasting vision, as now side lane pressure becomes really important. Rich and Yehu are trying to set that up because that's what's going to give you the ability to hold on to that vision, is the fact that a Sylas could collapse. A teleporting Jace could come in. And I will remind our players we are 90 seconds away. Getting very deep here into this river.
We're invading the top river.
And this flank angle for Yehu, like, if you make moves like this, bro, and get caught by that Sylas flank, you will not enjoy what happens next, as Palu needs to be positioned well so he doesn't get hijacked. Like, that is the main tool Yehu is looking for. There are other good tools, as we mentioned a lot here, but if that Sylas flank becomes a Magnet Storm Rail flank that is also doing Sylas damage, then that's the end of the game. Because bro kept this game somehow, some way, relatively winnable, like relatively playable. They're significantly behind. The goal difference matters less and less the closer we get to like 40 minutes. The gold advantages you have across the board are still relatively small outside of that Sylas one, but it could all just end in an instant if that flank from Yehu does go off.
Yeah. One item I'm looking at here is Closer. He went full damage in this game, so he does a lot of damage. But there are a lot of threats on the side of DRX, and he does not have Zhonya's, where Yehu does. Definitely a very important item. We see a lot of players pick it up even third sometimes, sacrificing a bunch of damage just to be able to have it for all the important fights, but
it's okay, Zettel frontline for him.
Yeah, well, and the poke is real.
Yeah, those basically every summoner is up outside of LazyField. This is up in 20 seconds here. I mean, this is going to be the game-deciding fight here. 15 seconds on Infernal Soul. And Yehu, like you said, he's pushing threatening this inhibitor turret and does have the teleport. They need to be decisive, they need to be fast.
They're going in on the Rich. I think he might just die here, but a lot of damage does go to Paulo, and Rich lives somehow. But DRX are being roped into a weird fight. They might just try to keep them around and go for the Nexus.
I mean, yeah, Rich could TP. Rich could TP into the base. He's just going to get away with this back for free. Yeah. Bro have to be fast here.
They're trying to stop the backs. They're not going to be able to. Morgan is going to back. We got double TPs coming in. I don't think DRX can end this game.
I don't think so. Can they win this fight? I don't think so either.
Dead. LazyFeel's dead. So is Rich. Should be Infernal Soul for the side of Bro now.
Snap call to go for the end does not work out.
Maybe they just end themselves.
I think they can certainly push this inhibitor at the very least. And they don't have any other TPs though.
Just take the Infernal Soul, guys. That's a good idea, I'd say. Yeah.
They did lose the bottom inhibitor, which means that that's going to have to be dealt with here. But like I mentioned before, the fact that they have this Infernal Soul will help them with wave clear. And now they're going to turn their eyes to the Baron. They can have the defensive Baron buff, and that bottom inhibitor is going to mean very little. I mean, Yehu does have TP, but I don't think he'll be able to end on his own. Not without some crazy heroics here from Sponge and Andil to stop backs. I mean, he is walking towards mid. That wave is not stacked up just yet, but this Baron is fast enough to where I think that if he tried it, they would just empower Baron recall home, and he wouldn't be able to do anything there. So this gets crazy, right? Like, it all starts with this engage on the Rich, as DRX aren't fully set up because they're fully indexing into that split push. The fact that Rich is able to even finish this recall, get the full channel off, is kind of wild. But Bro are like, well, we just want to control this dragon.
Oh, he misses!
Yeah. And then as soon as Closer is back and the TP comes through from Rich, like, Rich has to all in on the play, as unfortunately Sponge is just left out to dry here. And you can see what happens when Morgan shows up as well. It's the equalizer trade, and then Rich is like, well, and Morgan just instantly goes golden. And I don't think he would have necessarily even had to, but it's Azonia, it's not an arm card. He's going to have that back in just a few moments. And now Bro are in the driver's seat. You know, we've had some chaotic Rise Group shenanigans here, but at the end of the day, Bro are fighting for that game 3. I'm sure Degon's tightly gripped onto the chair, or maybe he's got his hands together, or yeah, maybe he's frantically knitting. I'm not sure, but
oh, he's grabbed onto the chair. Yehu's going in on a Morgan, but he's alone. Does he even get the kill? I don't know. Oh, he's going to dash away. We got a pillar here. Yehu even just going to flash for good measure. Because why not? You don't need that.
This is not really the trade-up I think Morgan was hoping for in that exchange. Doesn't have his teleport, remember. And Yehu still does. Hijack's going to be up in just a second here. That was a very scary moment.
Stops the Baron push.
It's so much harder, I feel like, for Bro's comp to work because of the lack of engage. Like, they have Rel, which I was like, Wolf, are you sure? Like, they have Rel. But, like, that's all they really have. But they otherwise are this insane high damage comp. Closer got his arm guard. You mentioned he didn't have the Zonias earlier. He went full glass cannon, full lethality, right? Full lethality Zed. Like, they do so much damage, but to lock people down is really hard. But DRX have made a few mistakes where they've actually just kind of face planted into fights and given the engage to Bro, so to speak. Really need this Baron to get a little bit more damage done than what they have right now, though. 2,000 gold is a lot, but they want an inhibitor.
There's that damage. This is what Krako's supposed to try to do, and he dies through all the shields.
I mean, he's full build. He's full build. I mean, you know, you mentioned trading your life for it. He doesn't have to trade his life this time. No 80 carry means with the last 45 seconds of this Baron, they can get some real damage done in the base.
I think they might just be able to end it without LazyFeel. You see that Rich is going to have to try to clear the waves. Yehu doesn't really do that very well, not against Baron.
They don't have Infernal Soul and Bro do, so they can clear any spawning minions so fast. They have insane poke with this Varus too. The siege is fantastic.
All right, we're going to see a Chaos Storm on the ground as Paulo is going pretty deep, but he wants to get that kill on a Sponge. Yehu goes in. He's got a Storm up here as desperately trying to clear the champions. Krako getting pretty low himself, one chop away, but it doesn't matter. Sponge only going to get that kill, and we have a series on our hands here, a Rise Group series going to a game number 3.
This is the incredibly close series I think a lot of people expected.